Hello and welcome to Respect the Crit. I'm your host and game master, Ian Duncan, and I am joined by some talented people and some great friends. Firstly, Jamie Lee-Bonés. Jamie.
Hello, I am Jamie and I play Elo, the modified medical droid.
And Alex Herrera.
Hi, I'm Alex and I play Beegax, the dog slicer.
Let's go ahead and roll the destiny roll.
I got one light side point.
Got it.
I got 2 dark side.
You got 2 dark side? Okay, I got 1 dark side, so...
Oh, super lopsided today. Holy shit. It's gonna be wildly imbalanced because Ian said at the beginning, he's like, there's a lot of weird energy today. Yeah, right away.
That's force energy.
Yeah, there is going to be some weird energy. Yeah, so I got 3 dark side, 1 light side. I gotta be honest, I didn't have any plans for the dark side points, but now there's so many here now.
But now that they're there, let's get funky. Let's use some of that funky energy.
Yeah. Let's get into that. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
Episode 28, Best Laid Plans. Once again, the fringers Elo and Beegax made a climactic escape from Socorro's walled city. Only this time they have joined with Bothan spy Gir Tu'Tey, the elusive son of Elo's former master. With their search for Gir finally over, Beegax and Elo can now focus on escaping Socorro alive. Extorted by the Triumvirate, in deep with Zalto the Hutt, hounded by Imperials and still pursued by assailants, the fringers' mouths have talked them into corners their feet might have trouble walking out of. The duo may be facing down more enemies than they ever have before, but for the first time, they may also have more allies at their backs.
Our camera pans down from the red-hot sky of Socorro onto a lonely stretch of highway that bifurcates the Badlands through dark whirling sands on one side and sharp jagged mountains poking up on the other. And a vehicle zooms down through the center of this highway, a old kind of truck driven in the driver's seat, a Bothan sort of like manning the wheel, an old outdated R4 unit sort of bleeding smoke out the top of its dome as it flies by, and sitting and the rest of the passengers in this vehicle are sort of like tending to wounds, making sure they're okay, and figuring out what the next move is. Alex, what is Beegax Botano doing in the back of this speeder truck?
If he's in the back, Beegax is probably looking at whatever fresh bandage Elo has given him, whatever fresh new scar is on him, and just kind of shaking his head, thinking about what retirement might look like. Hopefully it's a lot less laser blasts and explosions involved, and more tropical drinks, or drinks from whatever native planet he might be on. He'll just be daydreaming about that and kind of snap back to his senses, and I think, is this an open top vehicle?
For sure.
Okay, so I think as he snaps back, you can hear the humming of the engines. You can hear the wind kind of whooshing past, and then he catches a whiff of that smoke, and he turns around and remembers that there's a damaged R4 unit just kind of like sparking and probably freaking out, because I think this is the truck we stole. This is the yeah. So he's probably not having a good time, so he'll shimmy over to the R4 unit.
I love it. Actually, I kind of want to redo the intro and just have like our camera pans down and we're on a beach on Scarif, and we see a shirtless Doug just sort of like soaking in the sand, like enjoying a beautiful cocktail that has like all kinds of weird alien decorations on it, like obviously a paper umbrella, but maybe like a squid tentacle that's just sort of like whirling around, just soaking up in the sand. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, like a bunch of black smoke just comes like pouring in off of the ocean, filling up his vision and filling his mouth full of this ashy, disgusting taste and smell. And then we got to you in the back of the truck.
Yep, just him like coughing. He looks over his shoulder and he'll see the R4 unit just like,
friend, I could take a look at that if you'd like. Maybe patch you up a little.
and he'll look at the R4 waiting for a response.
It beeps a little like defensively at you, and its little prong comes up and does a like keep your distance.
All right, fine by me.
He'll scoot back to his original seat, and he'll look over to Elo and see what they're doing.
Elo is probably seated somewhere on the truck, just sort of gazing over the plains of Socorro into the mountains, and then would turn over to see Beegax talking to this other droid, and is going to scooch is going to scooch over to him. When we get back, what's the first order of business now that we have Gir here?
Beegax kind of shocked, turned.
Oh, yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot. Well, first thing is first. You think your junior spy over here can lend us some of his skills?
Elo's gonna look over to Gir Tu'Tey. What is Gir doing?
He is just sort of like piloting this truck, and he seems to be like focused on the road. But go ahead and roll me a perception check.
Okay. Oh, right.
Oh, right. I gotta get dice out.
No, oh, right. My perception is what it is.
No, it's not your perception, Jamie. It's our perception.
That's true. We are both very unperceptive. Mm-hmm. Is it 2 purple average?
Let's call it, we'll call it 2 purple, but you can have a blue die because you have spent a lot of time with Bothans.
I have. That is very true. 1 failure.
Oh.
It just looks like he's focused on the road.
Okay. I've never personally worked with Gir, but if he's anything like his father, he should have some worthwhile skills.
Beegax is gonna... I envision that they're both kind of sitting closer to the middle of the truck. So Beegax is gonna move slightly and hop to where the seats meet the driver's area. The driver's, like the cockpit, I guess. And he's gonna kind of shout over to Gir.
Hey, Gir.
Yes?
Listen, I know that our job was to find you and give you the stuff about your dad. My condolences, by the way. I don't know if I said that yet. But we're kind of in a bit of a jam. And I was hoping you could help us out so that we could get you off this planet. Safely, that is.
Yes, it seems that, my time on Socorro is, probably over. I mean, if you can find me, I suppose anyone can find me. And you did say that there were plenty of people that were willing to give up some of my information. So, yes, I think it is time I moved on from this planet, yes.
Great.
What is it you need help with?
Yeah, about those people who were willing to give us your info. It's too pretty.
He looks back at Elo.
Substantially powerful groups. We may have made business arrangements with let's be honest. I may have made business arrangements with both of them. Each one conspiring against the other. But I'm sure when I made the plans, there was some sort of initial idea or overall plan in mind, so I was hoping you could lend us your spy skills when handling any further issues we might have. For example, can you tap into other people's communication lines? And if so, can we record them?
Well, I am no slicer, but I can find a way.
How about gear? Get any gear?
I tend to travel light, but I do have this. And he like opens up his vest, and you see his light blaster, and I have these. And he points to his head, his brain.
Beegax instantly remembers every Bothan he met while on Bothan and shudders for a second, like,
That confidence. I love that confidence.
in the back of his mind, he's like, he's gonna die. Like, how is he a spy? And he'll kind of nod.
All right, well, let me work on the plan and I'll get back to you.
And he'll nod and position himself back towards Elo.
Verse is also in this thing, and she's like, if we're talking about how this is all going to go down, I think we should get everyone involved. I mean, we should bring Creed back. We should bring Obram back. Let's get everyone together and figure out what the next step is, because this is complicated.
You're right. NPC.
No, I'm playing. Yeah, Beegax will nod.
Yeah, let's save it.
And he'll sit down and look back at the R4 unit again and just think to himself,
Oh, what a mess.
and the R4 unit's like sparking and turns his head, looks at him, and he'll smile, like a really fake smile, thumbs up, like, eh.
There's like black smoke that is trailing into the back seat here, and that smoke sort of like does a wipe as we like wipe from the across the screen, and we see the way parked sort of nearby the Hutt casino that's being built on the edge of Vikea, the capital of Socorro. Wow, the way has seen better days. It is very damaged and broken. It's like the hull's busted, things are like hanging off of it. It's like barely able to get up into atmosphere, and we see that, and then the truck pulls up, and Gir looks up at his father's ship, and with like sort of a puzzled look, and he looks back at Elo, and he's like, "This is the way? What have you done to it?"
We haven't had the best luck.
Yeah, to be fair, I'm not really a pilot. I took some classes. It was electives. They weren't required at the Imperial Academy. Also, there's pirates, and also bounty hunters. Yeah, that about covers it. Oh, and Nikto.
I am no pilot either, but you might want to work on, like, just avoiding things, you know? Flying to get out of the way of stuff.
Beegax slowly turns his head and stares up at Gir.
Oh, I never thought about that. Wow. Huh. Let's say, for instance, if I were to shoot you right now, would you be able to move out of the way in time?
Hey, it is just a suggestion, alright? Just a note, okay? I didn't mean anything by it.
So he growls. That's all he does.
Verse just sort of, like, backs Beegax up a little bit. See a better pilot around here?
Ooh. Beegax kind of like gives her a sly smile. Stands his spine aligns a little straighter for the first time in 20 years. Pride. He's filled with pride. It's like in The Simpsons when Bart Simpson's like, "Oh, what's this feeling?" Yeah, he'll smile and nod to Verse and says,
All right, let's get Creed, the old man, and get him on the ship. We need to talk.
The four of you walk up onto the way. It's I think it's probably like evening time now. Like, you've spent the day traveling to Sajala Sa'i through the tunnels and then back. the Hutt Casino is sort of like bathed in these spotlights that they're sort of like just bright work lights that shine up and around, just sort of like pour some light on the work site. And you all walk up onto the way as night settles across the outskirts of Vakeia. Then we cut to the inside of the ship. I imagine all of you are sort of like in the meeting space, a sort of like social space of the way, which I think is sparse. But yeah, what does it look like? Has it changed since there's been more people on the ship here? And we have around here now, we have Obram, Creed, and everyone that was on the truck.
And Jamie, tell me if I'm overstepping my bounds here, if you want to throw some stuff in here, but I imagine it's like your home base in a video game where the more things you do, the more things get added to the background that only you know, like little inside jokes. For example, there is the fake lightsaber on a little pedestal somewhere in a shelf in the back. There are robot components from Elo that they may have lost along the way, kept in a box, and it just says for later use with like a post-it note on it or something. There is Snowball like resting in like one of these like longer openings on the shelf.
Empty to-go containers of ramen.
Yes, yeah, exactly. yeah. There's like all artifacts from our recent adventures. Also, Beegax will go back down at some point, and he's gonna detach the R4 unit from the truck, and he'll say, "Come on." I can motion for him to come onto the ship.
Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, it like pulls itself up out of the truck and sort of like putters its way, sort of like smoke billowing out of it still and steam coming off it up the ship.
Yeah, Beegax will look at it.
Look, I know you don't trust me because we stole you and the truck, but basically you belong to us now because I can't exactly let you go back and talk to authorities. So, two things.
So he's gonna bend down and he's gonna have like put his finger up too.
Two things. One, I can remove that thing.
And he's gonna point to like the bolt, the restrictor bolt, which I assume they use for this kind of job.
I can remove that thing and you join us and you have the time of your life. Two, I leave it on and I leave you here. And then the Hutts or Anikta will find you and tear you apart for parts. Your choice.
It sort of like beeps in a sarcastic way, and like a couple of prongs come out and like go out akimbo on it, and does like the equivalent of like a droid shrug, and just like follows Beegax up the ramp into the way.
All right, I'll remove the restrictor plate or restrictor bolt. If you need me to do mechanics, I guess.
No, we can say there's no stakes in this thing losing it. So you pry it off. Got it. That's another. We've got like a restraining bolt up on the artifact.
The background. Yeah, and then when Beegax walks up with the R4, he goes to Elo. He says,
"We got a new friend. Figure out his name or its name, and maybe give him a job on the ship."
Elo's gonna look down. Welcome aboard.
It beeps at you in droid, and you know that its name is R4TT. It's an old astromech droid, an old, out-of-date one. So it is able to map astrogation, but it's like working on like a really old computer, one that doesn't run the current OS.
R4TT, rat.
His name is Rat. Name is Rat. Oh my god. We must protect Rat.
We must protect Rat. Welcome aboard, R4TT. Let me show you around. And they'll begin to sort of peruse. And as people gather, I picture like them like walking through the sort of cabins, and you see people talking in corners, versing Creed and Gir and Barney are getting to know each other, I suppose, and yeah.
Yeah, Barney's here. Oh, right. We should mention Barney, the little medical droid that sits on Elo as a little backpack or a little companion. But yeah, I think what it looks like, first of all, Jamie, I need to hear we need to stop and do what the tour of the way is that you give this thing, because I just have to hear that.
Yeah, and but this is where we put a bounty hunter in a locker.
Yep, just way too much information.
But yeah, it's sort of like as people are coming aboard and like discussing as you've described, like it sort of looks like people are settling in to spaces on the ship. Beegax has his quarters that he's sort of like taken as one of the rooms on there. You see Gir, obviously, he peels off and he heads into Borsk's room. Like that just feels natural. This is the way a ship that's been a part of that is his dad's ship. It feels like a second home. Verse finds a room and sort of like puts her stuff down, and you see Creed sort of like offering Obram to have a room, and then Creed just sort of like finds a cot to like sit down on, you know.
But yeah, buddies now.
Yeah, like people seem to like be finding their place here on the ship. But yeah, is there anything left? Is there anything more of this tour that you give to R4TT here, you and Barney?
I think going through, Elo would definitely go through some of the events that have occurred on the ship. Like you said, this is where we hid a body that was eventually found, which led to us working with the Triumvirate, which blah, 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 blah. Like sort of expo dumping onto this unit. And before we killed that guy, didn't we torture him somewhere on the ship?
No, we tied him in the medical. We
tied him up in the medical. And this is where we tied him up before he eventually perished. You know, that sort of.
You gotta show him also where we hit him with a bike in the cargo area.
If you see these skid marks here.
There is just like a broken swoop bike that's sort of like resting just on the side in the cargo. There's like a big carbon score in the medical unit where he was shot. Yeah, fantastic.
Shit.
Oh, it's got so much history already, you know? The ship is
real
a story.
Character, wear and tear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so do you all want to do anything before you all sit down to like have this sort of like meeting with everyone?
I need to get rid of my critical wound.
Okay.
I still have it, right? And what do I need to do to get that? I always forget what we need to do to get rid of them.
Well, you need the help of a doctor, and you happen to have one. It is an average medicine check.
Average medicine, okay. 1 success, 3 advantage.
Yeah!
All right. So, yeah, you can remove that critical injury from you.
I imagine Beegax is sitting on the patient table, examination table, and Elo's just prodding him, poking him, using the medical devices, and Barney's floating around, like nodding, doing scans, and Beegax just sitting there like,
it was worse the first time.
Try not to flinch.
And he's like, what? And then,
oh, it actually feels really good.
He'll look at Barney. Barney does that like wipe, like
yeah. Barney's doing a scan, and every time Beegax like does a sudden move, Barney just kind of like backs off a little bit.
I envision it when it's finished. He gives his little hologram or his little display is like a happy face, like a don't touch much. Thank you for coming.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Elo is like, that's the first one, and then it's followed by like 3 more needles and foam and...
Oh, God.
You just hear drilling in the background for no reason.
Yeah.
It's like the torture scene from Cloud City, but not torture.
Yeah,
I'm getting healed.
It's regular medical checkups. After this is all done, Gir like comes up to Elo and he's like, so where is this message that you had for me?
Elo will, once finished with Beegax, take her to Borsk's old quarters and sort of slowly open the door and let him walk in first.
He does really unceremoniously. He just sort of like walks in, and he kind of like does a scan, and he doesn't touch anything. And he just sort of like has kind of a perturbed expression on his face.
Well, Elo will sort of walk over, probably onto some desk that they put this box on, containing all of the possessions that were given to them in the very first episode, and is going to pull out this message that was intended for Gir, and walk over to him and hand it over. This was what I was given to deliver to you.
This box?
Yes. I'm not 100% sure what's inside, but I believe it is from your father directly to you.
Okay. He like takes it and like starts opening it up. Inside, yeah, there are some like I think what we established, there was some like memorabilia and like kind of like officey stuff. There's even a few pieces of paper. We call it's called flimsy in Star Wars, but it's pretty rare to have like actual paper. But there's like notes and things, and then of course there's this data pad, and on it is this code, this like lock that you've seen before. That's sort of one part voice recognition, one part passcode, and on it comes up, and he just does this in front of you, Elo. On the data pad, it says, "The truth in our souls is that nothing is true. The question of life is then what do we do?" And Gir looks at this and he rolls his eyes and he says, "The burden is ours to penance with you. The force binds us all from a certain point of view." And whoop whoop, it unlocks. And you recognize that phrase you recognize it from the sermon that you overheard Obram listening to. Gir sort of like says this, and data begins to pour in on this data pad, and a message begins to play, like a message on the screen. It's not a hollow message. It's just something on the data pad, and he like hits the side button to bring up the volume. Boop, 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 boop. And you can see Borsk like recording this message that comes up on this data pad, and he's just sort of like sitting there. You recognize this older Bothan, big bushy fur, light patches around his face. He has the cybernetic arm and leg on his right side. I looked it up. Yes, it is the arm and the leg. It was both. And he's just sort of like sitting there in front of a recorder. And the message begins. "Gir Tu'Tey, my clan, my blood, my son. There are so many things I want to say to you. But I know the only thing you will hear is the silence that fell between us for all these years. I had many opportunities to say the things I want to say to you, and I have wasted them. I will always regret this, and you will always resent me for it." He looks away, and then he looks back into the recorder. "Age and its inconveniences have finally caught up to me. No medical droid or cybernetics can help with that. What I pass on to you are the most important things to me in my life. Firstly, you have my ship, the Way, to do with what you want. Sell it, scrap it, or better yet, let it take you across the galaxy to uncover the next thing that I am leaving you. I have entrusted you with the most valuable information. which I've been working on, compiling, verifying. Contacts, research, rumors, and stories that must not be forgotten. Gir, this is important work. Maybe the most important I have ever done. Sadly, I have run out of time. I cannot take the journeys that it requires to finish, but you must. He scratches his beard a little bit and then continues. I know it isn't fair to ask this of you as a last request after years of neglect, but please understand that I have done all of this for you. And if you can finish my work, you will be rewarded beyond measure. Lastly, I have entrusted my friend, Elo, to carry this information to you. They have been tasked to find you and bring all of this to you. It is my wish that you will take ownership of Elo as well. Let them care for you as they cared for me. And if you can find a way to reconnect Elo with Dr. Azara. They have never asked about her, and I have never brought it up, but everyone should know where they came from. The doctor will not be happy. Elo may not be happy, but it will be the right thing to do. If anyone can find Dr. Azara, you can. Gir, I'm so sorry that I wasted the time we had together. I hope through my work, you will give me a chance to make up for it. I love you, my son. And may the Force be with you. And the message stops. And Gir, closes his eyes, and he, brings the data pad down, and he says, That old man, even in death, he wants to keep his hand on the wheel of my life. Criff him. Criff all of this. And he looks at you, Elo. I can't say you've left the ship in good condition. And quite frankly, I have no need for a droid. So, what do you want to do, Elo?
Elo, through Gir watching this video, is going to be a bit hyper-focused on Borsk. The last time they saw Borsk was in their own personal message, so probably take a few moments for Elo to shake off the reminiscent feeling that they are having, but is going to eventually look up at Gir, hands sort of folded over. Well, it sounds like there's more information to uncover. What is it your father is speaking of? Who is this Dr. Azara? And where does he need us to go?
Dr. Azara is the person that we acquired you from a long time ago. I don't know where she is. Borsk and I helped her, get away from a bad situation. Had some falling out when the Republic started turning into the Empire. And she came with you in tow. Paid us to get her, to the Outer Rim and destroy you. Obviously, we did not do that. Borsk was, starting to get older, and why go in for a whole new medical droid when you can, fix one up, modify one, if you will. But I don't know where Dr. Azara is now. Who knows? It takes some looking into. You don't remember any of this?
I don't recall. And Elo's gonna sort of maybe pace a bit in the room. My first memories are waking up with you and Borsk.
We did have to, turn you on and off again a couple of times, and we did reset you a few times, there were some bugs to work out, so sorry about that.
And what does Borsk speak of? What research? I was with him in his last moments, and he never mentioned anything to me.
He never mentioned anything to me either. I don't know. He looks at the data pad again, and you can see there's the data is downloaded now, and there's just it's a ton of information. He sort of just sets it on the desk. You know how us Bothans are. We like to keep our secrets. Maybe he was keeping this one. I know at the end of his life he got really into the Force and all that criff. But I don't know. I don't know what he was trying to get from this research. All I know is he, of course, wants to control me and control what I am doing, and here I am trying to live my life, and he is like, oh no, come back in from the cold and go do some research or whatever. Sounds boring as hell.
Because you have so much going for you, Gir.
Okay, Elo, I do not need to take any flack from you. This is coming from someone being chased by pirates all the time and having life debts and everything. Excuse me very much. I am happy where I am.
I am just saying, I did find you in a floor. Your father wants what is best for you, Gir.
If he wanted what's best for me, then why didn't he want to be a part of my life? He couldn't even reach out to me when he was sick, when he was dying. He didn't say anything. He just sent you, a criffing droid. You're not even my family, Elo. You're just a thing.
I still believe that Borsk had your best interests in mind. Working in the Bothan spy network, he knew that he couldn't reach out to you. And even though he may not have been a part of your life then, in death he can now.
I am alive and he is dead. What good does that do me? He picks up the data pad and hands it to Elo. It's like, if you want to take a look at this, fine. Looks like I have a ship. And he does quotation marks that I have had inherited. It's going to take a lot of repairs to get this thing moving if I am going to get off Socorro. If you want to find Dr. Azara, I suppose I am obligated to help you with that. But that is it.
I would love any information that you have. For now, let us adjourn with the others. We have more pressing business. And Elo is going to almost gently take this data pad from Gir.
He lets you take it, turns to the bed, and just sits down roughly. Some dust comes up off the bed. Looks over. There's a old smoked cigar just hanging out in an ashtray.
Whoa.
He picks it up and throws it on the ground.
Whoa. It's making a mess.
I think, assuming that Gir is going to be staying in this room, Elo is going to take the data pad and put it back into this box and take the box with them as they leave the room. I would think it over still, Gir. You wouldn't want your pride getting in the way of a better future for yourself. And is going to leave.
And as Elo walks out the door, the door slides chukung on that conversation. We cut to this social space, and where you are all having this meeting about what to do next. And let's get into this. Let's do this. So let's open up the party menu. Boop, boop.
Yep.
Boop, bloop, bloop. I feel like we're doing all those little intros for our crew. We've got a crew now.
Crew.
And you're seeing these flashes of Creed. Ba ba ba. Is the name of it.
Enforcer.
Yeah, exactly.
Muscle.
Yeah, totally, yeah. The camera is like panning around the circular table and it stops on every single one. It like stops on Beegax and Elo first and we like see all their stats. There's like little bits in Arubesh are coming up and then it flicks over to English so we can all read it. Yeah, and then we see Creed, who is a gran, big, muscly, doesn't really shoot a gun, has more swings an axe, and is kind of dumb. We have Verse, the human, who's a mercenary. She's pretty good with a gun. You've actually seen her be pretty good with deception. She's kind of all around. She's versatile. Then there is Obram. Obram is an old man, human, a follower of the Church of the Force. Not good with weapons, not a fighter. Knowledge is his game. If you have questions or want to understand something or need some information, like, he's the guy to go to, especially about the Force. And then you have Gir, who is a spy, so pretty good with stealth, can shoot a gun, and he's also a tinkerer, as you know. He likes to, like, do little droid repairs and stuff like that. Barney is there. You've acquired R4TT, who is an astromech unit. Older, like I said, tough because it's a droid. Probably not good with like blasters and stuff like that. More good with astronavigation.
We found a better pilot.
But certainly can pilot like land vehicles and things like that. Factions that we're talking about the Triumvirate, which are the criminals. Each of them has a sort of general that, or you've interacted with most of them. There's P4, Jado Jinzel's envoy droid. Varlo Jakal, the human spaceport administrator for Socorro Tower, run by Lysa Primarch. And then there's the Hutt, who works with Placebo, the Rhodian information broker. And the Empire is also in the mix. There is an ISB agent who is Beegax's rival, Gerelt Tyrant. They are stationed in an Imperial battleship above the planet. There is also anyone else that you've interacted with, any other NPCs, any other factions. Everything is at play here. Anything that we've ever talked about on the show is on the table.
I'd like to leave some of them off the table. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, like, there are no bad ideas, right? Like,
yeah.
But I'm just trying to, like, give you all the options that are available. Verse sort of, like, starts the conversation as everyone is gathered. So, we're, and I can't believe I'm saying this, trying to take down the Triumvirate and take down the Hutt. All with the Empire floating above Socorro, and all with trying to keep collateral damage down. Let's get everything out on the table. Let's see everything that we have. Because, like I said, I think this is going to be complicated. Honestly, I hated it at the time, but I think getting the Hutt to fake his death is a good place to start.
Yeah.
If he actually believes you, and it sounds like he does, that's a piece we can take off the board. If he believes that you're going to get all this for him, then he's got to make it convincing. He's got to take himself out of the picture, lay low, whatever it is. So that's a piece off the board. Now, as soon as all this kicks off and he finds out that that's what we're not actually going to do, he comes back into play. But we can kind of control that a little bit because we'll know that that's what's going to happen. We might be able to figure out when the best time to do that is. Or Beegax, you mentioned maybe that's an opportune time to have someone come in and do something about it. I know you mentioned rebels in the tunnel. I don't really know any rebels. And I know you said you didn't want to get the people involved that, took you and Elo hostage, but what if we did get them involved?
Beegax looks at Verse, kind of scratching his face again from the stress that he normally does.
Last time I checked, they didn't exactly leave me a greeting card or, hey, let's hang out this summer. You know, we didn't end on the friendliest of terms, considering there was a bunch of white helmets roaming through their front door, courtesy of my message.
Do you think you could get in touch with them, though?
He chuckles.
I mean, yeah, it's not that hard. Just gotta figure out where their new location is, somewhere here on Socorro, obviously. I doubt that they're all dead. Or else the Empire wouldn't be here looking for them, probably, is what I'm assuming.
Okay. So maybe we got the partisans in play as well. How do you want to do this?
Well, you're right about the first step. We gotta make it look like the Hutt dies by our hands, so Elo and I will work out the details with the Hutt, set the stage up, plant the call from the Hutt's office, have a few maybe pretend dead Nikto around, and then Gir can possibly get this transmission sent to maybe an Imperial contact of his, kind of acting as a flare for, hey, something's going down, gang fight in the city or in the planet. Imperial gets involved. The Triumvirate get cornered. But there's a second part to that. Elo and I have to talk to the Triumvirate and get them on tape, or not on tape, get them on recording, stating that we finished the job they've given us, thereby,
And he does like a wiping his hands.
clearing us of both debts. However, getting off the planet becomes the tricky part, because once the Hutt figures out that we've betrayed him, like you said, every scum, every pile of dirt, every sleemo here in Socorro is going to come after us, and if this Hutt is more influential than others, possibly extraplanetary scum might come looking for us. That's possibly where we need the partisans. Maybe they act as a kind of deterrent, where we tell the Hutt after it's all said and done, if he doesn't leave us alone, he can expect shipments and supplies to get damaged by the partisans. That's more of an empty threat, as I doubt they'll help us out after what happened, but there might be something they want. We could give it to them, or maybe some sort of mutually assured destruction, like the Doug and the Grand back home.
Yeah, and when you say that Creed just sort of like kind of like puts his head down a little bit, like looks away, but versus like, yeah, okay, yeah, I don't know how we set that up, but we got to figure out what the partisans want, because we know that they're no friends of the Empire. We know they want the Empire destroyed. Getting them to side against a Hutt, that might be a bigger ask. They might even consider the Hutt a potential ally, you know.
Sure, if they want to work with someone who's actively sending supplies to a potential Imperial base on Scarif. Doesn't sound very partisan-like to me. Maybe we give them information on that place we were at.
He'll look at R4.
You could pull data from the ship, right?
It gives you like a nod.
Probably, since we're in the social area, the chamber, like the main gathering area, he's going to point to the astro computer, probably located in the hallway near the cockpit.
You can pull data from Scarif off that thing, and we can present it to them as blueprints for a base on Scarif. Let them know what's coming.
Do we know what the base is? I mean, just giving them a base, that might not be enough.
I can dress it up. That's what I do.
Okay. So we've got the Hutt. Get him off the board. Set that up. Go to the Triumvirate, and we've somewhere before that we've got to try and get in touch with the partisans. Let them give an exchange of information, something that could hurt the Empire. That might be helpful for them to get on our side and actually kill the Hutt. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no one's talking about killing anyone. It's more of a deterrent. If I tell them the Hutt's working for the Empire, which he has recently, they'll see him as an enemy as opposed to a friend. The dynamic changes. Power cannot sustain.
And he'll kind of be a little introspective when he's saying this.
The only good balance we can accomplish here is the balance of chaos. No one side has something the others want or can dominate the others for, except for one group.
And he's going to point up.
There's currently a Star Destroyer floating above the planet. That's the biggest threat. And while all these guys are down here duking it out, we have to make sure that those guys up there, that their eyes are peeled on the ground instead of the sky when we take off. I know I said no collateral damage. I wasn't counting the people in these groups. To me, Hutts, the Nikto who work for the Hutts, the partisans, well, not all the partisans, but most of the partisans, and all of the Triumvirate, they're the worst kind of scum. And I'd gladly see them shoot each other before I let anybody else get hurt.
Yeah, you won't get any argument from me from there. But when we get all this, if we get all this to go the way it does, everyone's going to know that you actually betrayed both people. So how do we keep you safe?
You don't have to. We'll be long gone by the time they figure it out. That's the ideal solution or situation. If not, well, I'm sure our master escape artist,
And he'll look to Gir.
has plenty of experience getting off planet in a hostile environment. I'm gonna look to him for some tips and possibly any pointers he might have.
Gir, like his ears perk up when you talk to him. You mentioned chaos. If we are an agent of chaos, controlled chaos, then perhaps we can get away. There are a couple of elements here that we don't have on the table that might benefit us if we can create this chaos. And that is guns. And I mean really big guns. There are the planetary cannons here on planet at Socorro Tower. And you actually know this. This like sparks a thing because when you were coming into the planet, the tower was like, hey, hold off or we're going to shoot you out of the sky.
Oh, yeah.
That's what these guns are. And Verse like lights up and she's like, oh yeah, that's probably why the Hutts haven't been able to come here. They've got those huge guns from the tower. And Gir's like, yes, and there's also another set of guns we might be able to get control of. And he looks at Beegax and he says, and points up. And he's like, they are on that destroyer.
You're talking about slicing a Star Destroyer.
It's possible, not slicing the whole ship, just slicing the guns.
He's going to stop. He's going to put his finger up.
Yeah, I'm aware of what it entails. I'm just curious and wondering if you know what it entails. If I were to put it in normie terms,
And he says normie, he points at Gir.
it's like running one of those things, the triathlons, right? Those competitions where you humanoids run and then decide to climb a mountain and then swim or whatever it is you do. That's that, but with my fingers and my deck.
Verse looks at Beegax and says, so are you saying you can't do it?
He growls.
Of course I can do it.
And he's like snaps his face towards her when he says this.
It looks like it's a pretty heavy dependence on my output for this situation. I'm gonna need a little bit of extra computing power.
And he'll look to R4.
I know you're new, but I think I might need to borrow your brain for a bit.
It does its like robotic shrug. Beegax, this R4 unit looks like it has seen it better days. We could get another slicer, but honestly, I don't know of any other slicer on Socorro. I mean, you're the only slicer I know that could do anything like this.
There are others, but they're not on planet. Besides, I don't need to do all the slicing at once. It would be like a sequence. Think of them as gates. The first one, slicing into the audio and video equipment for the Hutt's
And he points to the casino.
beautiful new casino. Second phase would be security systems for the Triumvirate in Socorro Tower. Same thing. A little bit more complicated, I assume, as Hutts integrate technologies from other worlds, all the ones they've won in bets. And third part, hacking the Star Destroyer's guns. That might be the hardest one.
We could do this simultaneously, if there are 2 guns to get. Can you make anything like you did over in Geonosis on the station? I mean, you made something that we could plug in. If we have teams, whatever the harder one is, you would have to be at, but maybe Elo and we could do the other one.
Huh.
If we can plug in a sequence at the tower that has their guns shoot down the casino and then has the Star Destroyer shoot down at the tower once we've already left, that's hitting 2 birds with 1 stone.
That's a lot of damage.
That would be crazy. But it would look like the Empire just shot up a bunch of assets on Socorro. They might even leave after that. If it looks like they've destroyed the cake they're trying to get a slice of, especially if it seems like an accident, that looks like a huge failure on the Empire's part. They may even decide it's not worth it to stick around. I mean, that's a huge undertaking. But if we can get control of both guns, take out the Hutt and the Triumvirate, and the Empire is left scrambling to figure out who shot who, that's crazy enough to work.
Alright. I guess I need to get onto the ship to hack it.
How are we gonna do that?
I can make another transponder code. It's not that hard. We just need to get the fake Hutt death out of the way, record that, and then the congratulations recording as well with the Triumvirate.
If we go to the tower to get them on tape, admitting to having having the Hutt killed, we'd already be on the tower and we would be able to plug in whatever we needed then.
Yeah, that's true.
We could be very inconspicuous.
He nods, and then he'll look to the people in the room,
We have to get this out of the way first.
and he'll look at everybody.
After this is done, there's no coming back to Socorro. So if you're serious about this and want to help us out, you're gonna have to leave with us. It's an unfortunate position to be in, but that's kind of how things go with this crew.
And he points to Elo and himself when he says this.
No hard feelings if you don't want to stay. You've done enough already.
He'll look to Oberon.
I promised I'd take you somewhere, so you're set in stone no matter what you choose. Sorry, old buddy.
He just solemnly nods.
And he looks to R4.
And I already told you the deal.
He sarcastically shrugs.
But to the rest of you, Verse, Creed, Gir,
I was already leaving anyway, so I'm out.
good.
I'm in, but then I'm out.
Yeah, I catch you, understand. Verse, Creed, this is, I guess, more towards you then.
They look at each other, and Creed kind of says,
Well, I'll go along with whatever First decides. She hasn't led me astray yet. I guess neither of the two of you, so yeah, whatever she decides.
and Verse looks back. I mean, I don't like leaving my home, but as long as everyone's okay on Socorro, I guess I can live with that. I understand that this wouldn't be a safe place for us, but if we've got to leave, we've got to make sure you are safe as well. Because if you're unsafe and we're with you, then that makes us unsafe, and I don't like that.
Yeah. Well, then to make sure I don't get shot.
If you get this recording of the Triumvirate, that evidence, maybe since you're not giving it to the Hutt, maybe that's the blackmail you need. Maybe now you can blackmail them.
Yeah.
The threat of the Hutt coming, I mean, if you ever make good on that promise, I'll throw you out the airlock, but it might be the collateral that we need to keep the two of you from getting shot.
I agree. Alright.
So I'm in.
Beegax kind of nods,
Good.
growls a little, looks at his gun and his chest holster,
I guess that settles it. Let's go kill us a hut.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Respect the Crit, Empire's Edge. If you like what you heard, please consider supporting us by giving us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. It's a simple thing that will really help us grow the show, and we love to read your feedback. For more information about the show, visit @RespectTheCrit on Twitter and Instagram. Beegax is played by Alex Herrera, who you can find on Twitter @AEHerrera or on his Twitch channel, WadeWolf10. Elo is played by Jamie Lee-Bonés, who you can find on Instagram @jamielee.bones. I'm Ian Duncan, your GM and MC, and you can find me @idunks on Twitter and Instagram. The original music featured in the show is provided with permissions by a variety of artists and are linked in the show notes. Please support them by visiting their platforms to check out more of their work and tell them how much you like the show. The Star Wars role-playing system and books are published by Fantasy Flight Games. And remember, whatever the system, whether it's a miss or a hit, you always gotta respect the crit. Thank you very much, and may the Force be with you.
Oh my god, I ran into some random... Sorry, my time for me to have a side story. I ran into a guy at work the other day who was like a printer fixer who... You know, like when you meet somebody and you're like, oh my god, you're a nerd. I'm a nerd. Let's like geek out for 40 minutes at work. And we started talking about Star Wars, and I had never heard the Sith Creed before, but that I was like,
it's spooky, huh?
It's spoopy. Yeah. I love it.
It's spooky but sexy.
It is. I was like,
sexy.
Okay, Sith Lord.
Yeah.